I thought I had it all figured out. 27 years old, decent job as a project manager at a construction company in the Midwest, pulling in $65,000 a year. I had Jessica, my girlfriend of 3 years, the woman I was planning to propose to that spring. I had the ring already, $4,500 tucked away in my sock drawer. My grandfather had just passed away 2 months earlier and left me $350,000 in his will. Life felt perfect. Then one Thursday night, Jessica called me. Her voice was shaking. She said we needed to talk. Right away. I drove to her apartment with my stomach in knots, thinking maybe she found the ring. I had no idea my entire world was about to collapse. Before I tell you what happened that night, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. If you have ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted completely, hit that like button. And subscribe, because what my family did next, you will not believe it. They actually expected me to pay for their betrayal. Let me take you back to where it all started to fall apart. My name is Sammy. At 27, I was living what most people would call a stable, comfortable life in a small Midwestern town. Nothing fancy but solid. I worked at Harrison & Company, a local construction firm where I had worked my way up to project manager over 5 years. The work was hard, but honest. Coordinating crews, managing timelines, dealing with clients who changed their minds every other week. But I was good at it, and the pay was fair for our area. I lived in a tidy one-bedroom apartment on the east side of town, drove a Ford F-150 that I was still making payments on, and spent my weekends watching football with friends or taking Jessica out to the local diner. Simple pleasures. I was not trying to be rich or famous. I just wanted a good life with someone I loved. Jessica was everything to me. She taught preschool at Riverside Elementary, and she had this warm smile that made kids light up when she walked into a room. Brown hair that fell just past her shoulders. Soft voice, always patient. We met 3 years earlier at Maple Street Coffee Shop when she accidentally grabbed my latte instead of hers. We laughed about it, and I asked her to dinner that same day. The relationship just felt easy. Comfortable. We rarely fought, and when we did, we worked it out like adults. I thought she was the one. I really did. Then there was my family. My older brother Derek was 2 years older than me, 29. But you would think he was still 19, the way he lived his life. Derek was tall, 6'2", built like he spent half his life at the gym, which he did. He had that kind of natural charisma that made people like him instantly. Charming, quick with a joke, always knew what to say. But beneath all that charm was a man who could not hold down a job to save his life. In the past 10 years, Derek had bounced from sales to bartending to personal training to God knows what else. Right now, he was in his 2nd year of being unemployed, living in our parents' basement, claiming he was finding himself. Our parents, Richard and Patricia, never pushed him too hard. Dad was 62, retired from the factory. Mom was 60, working part-time at the drugstore just to keep busy. They treated Derek like he was still figuring things out, like he just needed more time to mature. Meanwhile, I had been working since I was 16. Paid my own way through community college. Never asked them for a dime after I turned 18. But somehow Derek was the one who needed protecting, who needed understanding. I was the responsible one, so I could take care of myself. That was the unspoken rule in our family. Derek borrowed money from me 3 times over the years. $3,000 each time. Never paid me back once. He always had an excuse. The job fell through. His car broke down. He needed it for a business idea that never materialized. I stopped lending him money 2 years ago, but I never made a big deal about it. He was my brother. That is what you do, right? Derek came over to my apartment sometimes when Jessica was there. They got along well. He made her laugh with his stupid jokes. She said he was funny and harmless. I thought it was nice that my girlfriend and my brother were friendly. I thought it meant we could all be a real family someday. Then my grandfather William died. He was 89, lived a full life, and went peacefully in his sleep. I was close to him growing up. He taught me how to fix cars, how to fish, how to show up and do the work even when you did not feel like it. At his funeral, I cried harder than I expected. 2 weeks later, we sat in a lawyer's office for the reading of the will. Grandpa William left me $350,000. To me. Specifically to me. In the will, he wrote, "Sammy is the only one who worked for what he has. He deserves this." Derek got $10,000. Just 10. Mom and Dad got some family heirlooms, but no cash. I sat there in shock while the lawyer read the numbers. Derek's face went red. Mom looked like she might cry. Dad just stared at the table. I felt like I should apologize, but I did not. Grandpa made his choice. He knew Derek would blow through any money he got. He wanted me to have a future, to build something real. So I thanked the lawyer, signed the papers, and deposited the check. I did not talk about it, did not brag. I just put it in a savings account and started thinking about what I wanted to do with it. Maybe buy a house, maybe invest some of it. I had time to figure it out. But 3 weeks after I got that money, things started feeling off. Jessica seemed distracted. She checked her phone, constantly jumped when I came up behind her. She turned down sex a few times in a row, saying she had a headache or was too tired. It was not like her. I asked if something was wrong. She said work was stressful. I believed her. Derek was acting strange too. He stopped showing up to family dinners. When I asked Mom about it, she said he was just busy. Busy with what he did not have a job. But I did not push it. Then one night, I saw Derek's truck parked near Jessica's apartment building at 11 p.m. I was driving home from a late work meeting. I texted him. He said he was just dropping something off for her. Some book she wanted to borrow. I thought it was a little weird, but not suspicious. Derek was friendly. Jessica was friendly. That was all. Until that Thursday night when Jessica called and said we needed to talk. I got to her apartment at 8 p.m. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel the whole drive over. When she opened the door, I knew immediately something was horribly wrong. Her eyes were puffy and red. Mascara smeared down her cheeks. The apartment was dark except for one lamp in the corner. She did not hug me. Did not even look at me. Just walked back to the couch and sat down staring at her hands. I closed the door behind me. The silence was suffocating. I sat down next to her, not too close. My heart was pounding so hard I thought she could hear it. "What is wrong?" I said. "You are scaring me." She started crying. Not the soft kind, the kind where your whole body shakes. I reached out to touch her shoulder, but she flinched away. "I am pregnant," she whispered. For half a second, I felt this weird mix of panic and excitement. A baby. That was not part of the plan, but we could handle it right. We could figure it out. "That is," I started to say. "Are you okay? We can figure this out." She shook her head violently. "It is not yours, Sammy." Time stopped. I mean, it actually felt like the room froze. I could not hear anything, could not breathe. My brain could not process the words. "What do you mean it is not mine?" I said. My voice sounded far away. "Whose is it?" She was sobbing now, her whole face buried in her hands. "It is Derek's." Those 2 words hit me like a freight train. Derek, my brother Derek, my brother. I repeated like saying it out loud would make it make sense. "Derek, my brother Derek." She nodded, still crying. I stood up, backed away from her like she was on fire. How, when, why she tried to speak through the sobs. "It started 2 months ago. He came over when you were at work. We talked. He was upset about the will, about feeling left out. I felt bad for him. We drank some wine. And then it just happened. Just happened," I repeated. Once she shook her head. 5 times. Over the past 2 months. The last time was 3 weeks ago. 5 times. 5. I felt like I was going to throw up. 5 times my brother came to my girlfriend's apartment while I was working, and they slept together. 5 times she lied to me. 5 times she let me kiss her hold. Tell her I loved her while she was doing this behind my back. Why, I asked. Why would you do this? I do not know. She cried. He made me feel I do not know. I'm so sorry, Sammy. It was a mistake. A stupid, horrible mistake. Do you love him? I asked. No, she said quickly. God, no. It was nothing. It meant nothing. But it was not nothing. It destroyed everything. Does he know you were pregnant? I asked. Yes. I told him yesterday. What did he say? She hesitated. He said we need to tell you. And that maybe you could help us. The words landed like ice water in my veins. Help you. Help them. Suddenly everything made sense. The timing. Derek getting close to Jessica right after I got the inheritance. Him coming over when I was not there. Them talking about money, about me, about what I had. This was not an accident. This was a plan. He knew about the money, I said slowly. He planned this. She did not answer. She did not need to. I walked to the door. Get out of my life, I said. Sammy, please, she started. There is no we anymore, I said. Do not ever contact me again. I left, drove home in a daze, sat in my truck in the parking lot for an hour just staring at nothing. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. The next morning, Friday, I called in sick to work. Then I drove to my parents' house. It was 10 a.m. Mom and Dad were having breakfast at the kitchen table, and Derek was there. That never happened on a weekday morning. He was sitting there eating cereal, like nothing was wrong. I walked in without knocking. We need to talk, I said. Dad looked up. What is wrong, son? I looked straight at Derek. You slept with Jessica. She is pregnant with your baby. Mom dropped her coffee mug. It shattered on the tile floor. Brown liquid spread across the white surface. Dad just stared at me like I had spoken another language. Derek put his spoon down slowly. Sammy, let me explain. Explain what I said. My voice was shaking. How you stabbed me in the back. How you planned this whole thing. It was not planned, he said. It just happened. 5 times just happened, I said. 5 times while I was at work. While I trusted both of you. Mom started crying. Oh, Derek, how could you? Dad's face was pale. This is unacceptable. But then after just a few seconds, I watched their faces change. Mom looked at Derek with this expression I knew too well. Worry. Not anger. Worry. Derek, is this true? Mom asked. Is she really pregnant? He nodded, looking down at the table like a scolded child. Oh my God, Mom said. What are you going to do? You do not have a job. How will you support a baby? I could not believe what I was hearing. That was her concern. Not that he destroyed my relationship. Not that he betrayed his own brother, I do not know. Mom, Derek said quietly. I'm scared. And then Dad looked at me. Son, I know this is hard. But Derek is your brother. Family takes care of family. What are you saying? I asked, even though I already knew. Mom reached across the table toward me. Sammy, you have that money from Grandpa William. Maybe you could help them get started, just to make sure the baby is taken care of. I actually laughed. A bitter, horrible laugh. Help them. Are you serious? Just for the baby? Dad said. The baby is innocent in all this. Derek cannot do this alone, Mom added. He needs support. And you have the means. They wanted me to give Derek $100,000, $100,000 of my inheritance, to help him raise a baby with my ex-girlfriend, the woman he had an affair with. They actually sat there and asked me to do that. You want me to pay for my brother to raise a baby with my ex-girlfriend? I said slowly. The woman he betrayed me with. You want me to pay for that? We are not asking you to forgive them, Dad said, just to help the child. Sammy, I know I messed up, Derek said. But I am trying to step up now. I need this. I looked at all three of them, my parents, my brother. Not one of them was on my side. Not one of them cared about what this did to me. They just saw my money and Derek's problem, and they thought they could fix one with the other. No, I said. Sammy, please. Mom started. I said no, I repeated. Not a single dollar. I walked out, got in my truck, drove away while Mom called after me from the porch. I did not look back. The first week after that confrontation was hell. My phone rang constantly. Mom, Dad, Derek. Even Jessica tried calling a few times. I blocked all of them. Every single number. I took 3 days off work, told my boss I had a family emergency. I spent those days sitting in my apartment trying to process what had happened, trying to understand how the people who were supposed to love me could ask me to do something so cruel. On day 4, I called a lawyer. His name was Harold Green, a family law attorney someone at work recommended. I sat in his office and explained everything. The inheritance, the affair, the demand for money. Can they take it from me? I asked. Can they sue me or force me to share it? Harold leaned back in his chair. The will is ironclad, he said. The money is legally yours. They cannot touch it. But I recommend we set up some protections just to be safe. We spent the next hour going through paperwork. I moved the money into a different account, one my mother could not access or even see. I made sure everything was locked down tight. When I left his office, I felt a little bit of control returning. Next, I called my Aunt Linda. She was my dad's younger sister, and she had always been fair. She did not play favorites. I told her everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the demand for money. Oh, honey, she said when I finished. I am so sorry. Your parents are wrong to ask that of you. That is not fair at all. Thank you, I said. I felt like I was losing my mind. Like maybe I was the one being unreasonable. You are not crazy, Linda said firmly. You are protecting yourself. That is what you should do. She promised to support me if my parents tried to pressure me through other family members. Knowing someone believed in me made all the difference. That weekend, I wrote an email to my parents. I did not send it as a text, because they had probably blocked me back by then. I needed them to see the words. I wrote, I love you both, but what you asked me to do is not fair. Derek betrayed me in the worst possible way. I am not responsible for his choices or their consequences. The inheritance is mine. Grandpa wanted me to have it, and I am going to use it to build my future. Not to fix Derek's mistakes. I will not change my mind about this. Please stop contacting me until you can respect my decision. I sent it. Then I closed my laptop and did not check my email for 3 days. 2 weeks later, Aunt Linda called with news. Derek is trying to borrow money from everyone in the family, she said. No one is giving him anything. He applied for jobs at 5 different places. No one will hire him because his work history is terrible. What about Jessica? I asked. She broke things off with him, Linda said. Told him it was a mistake and she does not want him in her life. He is completely alone now. I did not feel good hearing that. I did not feel vindicated or happy. I just felt empty. Derek ended up taking a job as a server at a diner on the highway. $8 an hour plus tips. He moved into a tiny room in my parents' basement, the one with the low ceiling and no windows. The golden boy, who always got everything handed to him, was now scraping by on minimum wage. Jessica could not afford to keep her apartment on a preschool teacher salary. $32,000 a year does not go far when you are raising a baby alone. She moved back to Iowa to live with her parents. I heard through a mutual friend, Tyler, that her reputation in town was destroyed. Everyone knew what she did. As for my parents, they had to support Derek financially, even though they were already retired and living on limited income. They canceled their vacation plans. Mom picked up extra hours at the drugstore. Dad started selling things from the garage. And the tension between them grew. They fought about Derek constantly. Mom resented having to work more. Dad resented that his son was 30 years old and still living at home like a teenager. Aunt Linda called me every few weeks with updates. "Your mom called me yesterday," she said during one call. "She is exhausted. Derek is draining them dry. She asked if I thought you would change your mind." "What did you say?" I asked. "I told her no," Linda said. "And I told her she should never have asked in the first place." 3 months after everything fell apart, I was still standing firm. There were moments when I felt guilty, when I thought about the baby, an innocent child who did not ask for any of this. But then I reminded myself that the baby had a father, had grandparents, had family. It was not my responsibility to fix what Derek broke. I used $50,000 from the inheritance to put a down payment on a small house in the suburbs. 2 bedrooms, a backyard with a big oak tree, a quiet street where kids rode bikes in the summer. It was mine. Completely mine. No one could take it from me. Derek tried to reach out once through Facebook Messenger. I had unblocked him temporarily just to see if he would try. The message said, "Sammy, I'm sorry. I know I do not deserve forgiveness, but I am trying to do better. Can we talk?" I read it. Did not respond, deleted the message, blocked him again. Jessica had the baby in month 9, a boy. I heard about it through Tyler. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just nothing. That chapter was closed. 4 months after the confrontation, my parents sent me an email. It was the first time they had reached out since I sent my message. The email was short. "We understand your decision. We hope someday we can talk again." No apology. No acknowledgement that they were wrong. Just a vague hope for future reconciliation. I read the email sitting in my new living room, sunlight streaming through the window. I felt a wave of relief. Not because they apologized, but because they finally accepted it. They had to live with my boundary now. They had no choice. I did not respond right away. Maybe someday I would. But it would be on my terms, when I was ready. If I was ever ready. I sat there in my house, and realized something. The victory was not in watching them struggle. It was in refusing to let them control my life. It was in choosing myself when everyone else expected me to choose them. The first month after everything happened, I was a mess. I lost 10 pounds because food tasted like cardboard. I could not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Jessica and Derek together. I had nightmares about the moment she told me. I woke up in cold sweats, my heart racing, feeling like I could not breathe. Work became my escape. I threw myself into projects, stayed late every night, volunteered for the hardest jobs. My boss noticed. He pulled me aside one day and asked if I was okay. I told him I was going through a breakup. He did not push for details, just told me to take care of myself. In month 2, I started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Patel, and her office was in a quiet building downtown. The first session, I just cried. Sat on her couch and cried for 45 minutes while she handed me tissues and waited patiently. The second session, I told her everything. She listened without judgment. "Betrayal is not about you," she said. "It is about them. People who betray you do it because of their own brokenness, not because you are not enough." I did not believe her at first, but over the weeks it started to sink in. I started going to the gym, lifting weights until my arms shook. I reconnected with old friends, Tyler, Marcus, Justin, guys I had lost touch with while I was focused on Jessica. We started playing basketball on Wednesday nights, grabbing beers after. They knew what happened. They did not pity me. They just showed up. By month 4, I started feeling lighter. I decorated my new house. Painted the living room a warm gray. Bought furniture that I actually liked instead of whatever was cheapest. I started a garden in the backyard. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs. I had never gardened before, but I liked getting my hands dirty, liked watching things grow. I joined a community soccer league, made new friends who did not know anything about my past. To them, I was just Sammy, the guy who played midfielder and brought orange slices to games. It felt good to be seen as someone new. I was not ready to date, not even close. But I started doing things for myself. I learned to cook actual meals instead of surviving on frozen pizzas. I taught myself guitar from YouTube videos. I went hiking on weekends, drove out to state parks, spent hours walking through woods with nothing but my thoughts and the sound of birds. At work, things got better too. 6 months after everything fell apart, I got promoted to senior project manager. $75,000 a year. My boss said it was because of my dedication and leadership. I felt proud, really proud. This was something I earned, something no one could take from me. Then I met Amanda. It was not dramatic or romantic. I was at a coffee shop on a Saturday morning, the same Maple Street coffee shop where I met Jessica years ago. I almost did not go because of the memories, but I made myself. I ordered a latte and sat by the window with a book. She sat down at the table next to me. She was an architect sketching something in a notebook. Her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun. We made eye contact. She smiled. I smiled back. "Good book?" she asked, nodding at the novel in my hands. "So far," I said. "You working on something?" "Trying to," she laughed. "Client keeps changing their mind." We talked for 20 minutes. It was easy, comfortable. She did not ask for my number. I did not offer. But the next Saturday she was there again. And so was I. Over the next few weeks, we became friends. Just friends. She knew I had been through something hard. I did not give her details, but I told her I was not ready for anything serious. She said that was fine. She had just gotten out of a long relationship, too. We were both figuring things out. We went to dinner a few times, went hiking together, talked about our lives, our jobs, what we wanted for the future. There was no pressure, no expectations, just two people enjoying each other's company. I did not know if Amanda would become something more. Maybe she would. Maybe she would not. But for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. Not desperate, not broken, just gently, cautiously hopeful. My relationship with my family was still complicated. Aunt Linda checked in regularly. My parents sent occasional emails, short, impersonal updates about their lives. I responded sometimes with a sentence or two. We had not seen each other in person. I was not sure when we would. Maybe never. Maybe someday. I was okay with not knowing. Derek never contacted me again. He finally understood the boundary. I heard through Linda that he was still working at the diner, still living in the basement. The baby was healthy. Jessica was managing. They were not my problem anymore. What I learned through all of this was hard-earned and painful. I learned that saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you strong. I learned that protecting yourself is not a sin. It is a necessity. I learned that blood does not give people permission to use you, to manipulate you, to demand things you do not owe them. I learned that betrayal says everything about the person who betrayed you, and nothing about your worth. Jessica and Derek made their choices. Those choices had consequences. I was not responsible for protecting them from those consequences. I learned that forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. I could forgive them for my own peace without ever letting them back into my life. Forgiveness was about releasing the anger that was poisoning me, not about excusing what they did. I learned that money reveals character. It does not create problems, it just exposes what was already there. Derek was always selfish. My parents always favored him. The inheritance just made it impossible to ignore. Most importantly, I learned that freedom is not about getting revenge. It is about refusing to let other people write your story. My family wanted me to be the good son, the responsible one, the one who sacrificed himself so Derek could keep being reckless. I said no to that role. I chose myself. And that choice, as painful as it was, set me free. 1 year after everything fell apart, I was sitting in my backyard on a Sunday afternoon. The sun was warm. The tomatoes were ripe. Amanda was in the kitchen making lunch music playing softly. My phone buzzed. An email from Mom. "Happy birthday, son. We miss you." I smiled. Not a big smile, just a small one. I would respond eventually. Maybe. But not today. Today I was exactly where I needed to be. I looked at my house, my garden, my life. I had lost so much that year. My girlfriend, my brother, my relationship with my parents. But I had gained something more valuable. I gained myself back. Some people will always see your boundaries as walls, but walls are not meant to keep you trapped. They are meant to protect what you are building inside. And what I am building now, it is mine. And it is worth protecting. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and protecting yourself? Have you ever been asked to sacrifice your happiness for someone else's mistakes? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more real stories about standing up for yourself and finding your way through betrayal. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you find the courage to stand firm in your own life. Whatever you are going through, remember that you deserve respect, you deserve boundaries, and you deserve to choose yourself. Take care of yourself out there. You are worth it.